Now, in wake of a potent threat from the newly found coronavirus variant, states are gearing up and preparing their plan of action. Delhi Lieutenant Governor has issued fresh instructions amidst concerns over the new variant. LG Anil Baijal has asked to ensure strict adherence to COVID norms at public places. Baijal has also ordered hospitals to be prepared to deal with any emergency situation. Delhi Lieutenant Governor will be chairing a key meet on Monday with DDMA officials on the Omicron variant. Earlier, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal urged Prime Minister Modi to stop flights from those countries which are affected by the new variant. Maharashtra government too has issued fresh restrictions. While international travellers shall be governed by directions of the centre, domestic travellers shall either be fully vaccinated or carry a negative RT-PCR test report valid for 72 hours. Samples of passengers from South Africa will be sent for genome sequencing. Karnataka Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai held a COVID review meeting today where Karnataka Health Minister K. Sudhakar said that the state is equipped with 6 genomic sequence labs and samples of passengers from affected countries will be tested for the new variant. Gujarat government has also made RT-PCR testing mandatory for travellers landing at the airports in the state from Europe, United Kingdom, Brazil, South Africa, Bangladesh, China, Mauritius, New Zealand, Zimbabwe and Hong Kong. Now let us take a look at what the states are doing to battle this emerging Omicron variant threat. Delhi is, of course, what it's looking at is strict adherence to COVID norms in public places. Hospitals to be prepared to deal with emergencies. Delhi's Lieutenant Governor is in fact going to hold a key meeting on November 29 about this. So those are the measures that Delhi is taking. Speaking of Maharashtra, international travellers are to be governed by directions of the centre. Negative RT-PCR reports or full vaccination certificates for domestic travellers. That's a must for domestic travellers. And passengers from South Africa are to be quarantined in Mumbai. Samples of these passengers are to be sent for genome sequencing. Those are the measures that Maharashtra is taking. Speaking of Karnataka, passengers from South Africa are to be screened in Bengaluru. Samples are to be sent for genomic sequence. Those are the measures Karnataka is taking. Speaking of Gujarat now, mandatory RT-PCR tests at airports at Gujarat and testing a must for passengers from Europe, United Kingdom, Brazil, South Africa, China, Hong Kong. Prime Minister Modi, in fact, today chaired an important meeting on the COVID situation in the country amid concerns of the new variant. Top officials briefed Prime Minister Modi about the new variant Omicron, along with its characteristics, its impact in various countries and implications for India. Prime Minister Modi asked officials to review plans for easing of international travel restrictions in light of the emerging new evidence. He also added that there should be intensive containment and active surveillance should continue in clusters reporting higher cases. Meanwhile, World Health Organization issued a warning to Southeast Asian nations amid rising concerns over the new strain. WHO has now asked Southeast Asian nations to scale up surveillance, boost public health measures and enhance vaccine coverage. And as the World Health Organization panel termed the variant to be a highly transmissible variant of concern, Germany has now detected its first suspected Omicron variant case. Now, what is India doing? A genomic consortium is tracking the new variant. The genomic analysis of samples of international travellers are being done. States and UTs, Union Territories, have been asked to conduct rigorous screening and testing. Travellers from South Africa, Hong Kong and Botswana are going to be screened. So those are some of the measures that India is taking in the wake of this new variant of concern. Now, my colleague Sneha Mordani talks to top virologist Gagandeep Kang on COVID's newest variant of concern, Omicron. Listen in.
How concerned or worried are you about the newest variant of concern, Omicron, that the World Health Organization has spoken about? In fact, the WHO has just said that there must not be any panic around it. But are you genuinely concerned looking at the manner in which it has spread in a handful of countries already?
Yes, it is a variant of concern and it has spread very rapidly. The good thing about it is the fact that since we had the first identification on the 9th of November, we already have a good sense of the sequence data. We know that this is a strain that has mutations unlike the constellations that have been seen previously. So there are chances that it will spread more easily and some chances that it may be able to evade the immune response. Of course, those data are not completely known, but at least based on sequencing, we know that this is something that we need to track very, very carefully.
Professor Kang, do you believe that there is a possibility that this variant would have traveled to more than just a handful of countries beyond Botswana, Israel, beyond Hong Kong and South Africa?
Well, it's already been reported from Belgium and Israel, as well as Hong Kong, South Africa, and it was originally reported from Botswana and South Africa. Some of the travelers have been through Malawi, the one that landed up in Israel, and the traveler in Belgium came through Egypt. So it's very possible that this virus may be in many more places than have been detected so far. And it speaks to the importance of making sure that we sequence everything that comes in with travelers.
How important it is for India to ensure quicker and more genome sequencing right now, given that we already know that there is a possibility, and India is concerned already. The Prime Minister's held a meeting on this, that it could have traveled to India as well. What's the need of the hour right now?
I think rapid sequencing, but more than rapid sequencing, the most important thing is to be able to track travelers, to identify people who have come in from other places, and then make sure that we are able to identify anyone who might be infected and where they go. If we have really good testing and tracking, that will allow us to identify those people who are bringing the virus in and help us to make sure that we have a good surveillance system and that we can stop onward transmission of this variant.
Professor Kang, many people may say that this is a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, but some countries are already imposing restrictions on travel from these countries where the variant has been found. Do you think it's time for India also do the same? Because better to be safe than be sorry. What do you think?
So when you close borders, how long do you close them for? And how do you make sure that you identify every infection that might potentially come into the country?
Now, Omicron was discovered in South Africa earlier this month. The Omicron variant of the coronavirus is an already stressed world more worried. This variant is believed to be spreading faster than the Delta variant. Here's more.
Stock markets plummet. Global economy is in a tailspin. World Health Organization calls it a variant of concern. Countries re-implement travel bans. Scientific community says new strain is horrific. It's happening all over again. A new variant of coronavirus, now named Omicron, has set alarm bells ringing across the world. So, with this bolt from the blue, are we back to square one in our fight against COVID-19? Here's what we know about the new variant, Omicron. B.1.1.529 or Omicron was first identified in South Africa. The World Health Organization has classified it as a variant of concern now. Scientists say the new variant carries a high number of mutations in its spike protein. In the new variant, there were 50 mutations overall, with more than 30 on the spike protein. This is what the World Health Organization has had to say about this variant.
Based upon the information that we have, particularly from South Africa, they have advised WHO that this variant should be classified as a variant of concern. So today we are announcing B.1.1.529 as a variant of concern named Omicron.
Where did it come from? The new strain Omicron, a B.1.1.529, was first identified or detected in South Africa. There have been close to 100 fully confirmed cases in the Gauteng province of South Africa. A theory suggests that this new variant is likely to have evolved during a chronic infection of an immunocompromised person. Is the new variant more lethal then? Researchers are trying to confirm whether the new variant with 50 mutations is more transmissible or lethal. The WHO has called for caution in the initial stages of dealing with this variant. It could affect transmissibility, disease severity, immune escape, diagnostic or therapeutic escape. It can also cause community transmission or clusters. This variant has a large number of mutations, some of which are concerning. Preliminary evidence suggests an increased risk of reinfection with this variant. How many cases of the new variant have been recorded then? Well, there have been 77 fully confirmed cases in the Gauteng province in South Africa. There are indications that show that 90% of cases in Gauteng may already be of this variant. Alarm was also raised after cases recorded in South Africa jumped from 200 to 2,465 within 7 days. The number of cases of this variant appears to be increasing in almost all provinces in South Africa. Researchers are still looking into the data on deaths caused by the variant. The rise comes following weeks of relatively low transmissions. 4 cases have been reported in Botswana and 2 in Hong Kong. Israel and Belgium have also detected cases of the new COVID-19 variant. Will the Omicron variant dodge immunity provided by vaccines? Is the question that everyone is now asking. Scientists are researching on how effective existing vaccines might just be against this new variant. The WHO has said there is little information on that matter. Breakthrough infections have been reported in South Africa among people who have received the Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer-BioNTech and Oxford's AstraZeneca vaccines. No deaths have been recorded as of yet. The 2 travelers in Hong Kong who tested positive were vaccinated with the Pfizer vaccine. What are the other variants of concern then? The WHO had designated 4 other variants of concern called the Alpha, the Beta, the Gamma and Delta variant. The WHO added variant Omicron as the 5th designated variant of concern on the 26th of November. How is India reacting to it? India has yet to take the extreme step of a travel ban on South Africa or neighbouring countries from where these cases have been reported. The government, meanwhile, has asked states to rigorously screen and test travellers coming from South Africa, Botswana and Hong Kong. With alarm bells raised, several countries have announced travel bans, while others are tightening border controls in what feels like a never-ending battle against COVID-19.
Breaking news that's coming in right now. 2 South African nationals test positive in Bengaluru. However, their genomic sequence will take about 48 to 72 hours. It's been sent as of now, the samples. Last few weeks, 94 South African nationals have arrived in Karnataka. Karnataka Minister R. Ashok has said no Omicron variant yet in the state of Karnataka. He has said increase testing at border districts and airports. My colleague Nagarjun Dwarkanath is now joining me live from Bengaluru. Nagarjun, this is worrying news that's coming in right now. What are the health authorities in Karnataka telling you?
At this point of time, they are saying that nothing to panic, and these 2 nationals are asymptomatic and their samples have been sent for genomic sequence, which would take 48 to 72 hours. And they're monitoring their primary contacts as well. And since last 3 to 2 weeks, whoever has returned from the southern African countries are being monitored. 94 such returnees are in Karnataka at this point of time. Not just them, their primary and secondary contacts too are being monitored. But what is fortunate is that both the nationals are double vaccinated. 2 doses are done is what we are told. This has happened at the International Airport of Bengaluru, and it comes under Bengaluru Rural District. The DC is closely monitoring situation, and both the nationals have been moved to a quarantine center.
Right. Nagarjun, thank you so much for sharing all of those details. And that's a wrap on this bulletin. For all the latest news and updates, you can log on to indiatoday.in. You can also download the India Today app. Thanks for watching.